The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. If you miss an episode, you can always catch me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or go to my website, themainstreetcode.com, and YouTube videos on my website. So lots of different ways to hear episodes if you miss them. You can live stream it on 103.9 when we do our shows every Friday at 3 o'clock, and I'm happy to be here. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we help hundreds of advisors across the United States, as well as thousands of clients, with their retirement in regards to life insurance, disability, long-term care, annuities, life settlements. That's what we do. And we're specialists in these areas. We're completely independent. We represent 30 different insurance companies, and our goal is to provide the best financial solutions for you, for your retirement, for your protection, for your business, and for you. And if you don't have a team of professionals around you, we'll help you build a team that works with you, because everybody is different, and there should be no cookie-cutter approach whatsoever. Last week we had with us a guest, Tim Kennedy, who's had his own show here, who's specialist in reverse mortgage, but he gave me this book called The Guru Gap. And I read it, and I thought it very interesting. It talks about a lot of what I talk about, but The Guru Gap really focuses on what some of the TV experts are talking about and where their flaws are. So one of the things that they talk about is solving the longevity risk. And the longevity risk is really, what if I live too long? What if I run out of money? How do I solve that? Well, a lot of the gurus, the people that are on TV, the Dave Ramseys, the Susie Ormans of the world, is put your money in stocks and you'll get a great return and just keep building and it'll work. Well, he disproves that theory because it doesn't work completely. It could work, but there's several gaps. There's several things along the way that you have to consider. And outliving your money is probably the biggest fear that people have, especially as they approach retirement. So what are some of the risks that you have to account for? Well, one of the things that he did that was a little different than the way I approach things, which I find very interesting, is they talk about the withdrawal rate when you retire. So apparently there's been mathematical studies of how much people want to know, how much do I need at retirement? What's that magic number I need at retirement? And you get this question all the time. I have $1 million. Is that enough? Well, basically, the way it's calculated out, you need to withdraw 4% of your assets every year at retirement. So, if you have $1 million, 4% is $40,000. Is that going to be enough every year at retirement? You can withdraw, one of the experts say withdraw 8%. But if you withdraw more than that 4%, you withdraw 8%, the market has to do 12% consistently every year. So the magic number is, let's say, 4%. So you need a lot of money at 4% to make up the gap between Social Security and any other income you come in to withdraw. So the problem is how do we account for what they call sequence of returns? So you can talk about averages of what the market does every year after year, over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And you could have a year where you make 20%. But if you have a year where you make negative 5%, you may need 25% to get back to where you were. The problem is when you're in retirement and you're taking a steady withdrawal stream, you hit a bad market and you can't recoup, because not only do you have to do extra more the next year, but you're taking money out of your pot that's not accumulating. So the sequence of returns is good, 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 bad, good, 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 bad. Can we afford that bad year and still take that income out that year? So what do? So that's one of the things. So there's this whole sequence of returns in a combination of Social Security. There's a withdrawal rate risk of it's magnified if you take too big a withdrawal or what you're going to plan. There's a long-term care risk that if you should need care and you need your assets to pay for your care. There's an inflation risk, which you need to look out. And let's face it, there is going to be inflation. There's a tax risk that people don't talk about. What's that tax risk? Well, everybody assumed back in the day you can pay lower taxes at retirement. It is not the case. Your likelihood is the tax rates may double at some point because we are running such huge, humongous deficits. So this is a big problem. So especially if you're putting your money all in retirement money, like 401k money or IRA money, which is great, but if your tax rate is double, then that money is worth so much less at retirement. Plus you add inflation to it, and your assets can deplete very quickly. And if you happen to live till you're 90 years old or 95 or 100 or 120, you will run out of assets if you don't plan properly. So there's all these risks and all these rules, and one of the solutions is to take out what that really takes care of that longevity risk, is to have an annuity that gives you a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life. And he addresses that in the book, that people now are starting to understand what annuities can do for them. If I could have something that will guarantee me 6% a year on an asset forever, or 5% or 4%, that is over and above that 4% rule, I'm not saying with all your assets, it's something to really consider, even after retirement, to guarantee that withdrawal rate. I thought that was a great argument. In addition to that, he talks about the volatility shield. So what's going to protect me from all this investment risk? And his advice, especially if you're younger, he tells you to pre-fund permanent life insurance. Pre-fund it so that at retirement you have another asset. Think of it as a bond control, as a bond asset to take withdrawals from, so that you build this pot of money up inside a life insurance policy. What's great is it grows tax deferred and you take it out tax free, so that when you have a bad year in the market, you don't have to take your money out of the stock market to fund your retirement. You take it out of the life insurance cash value that you've built up. That's your volatility shield. He recommends that you short pay, you pay over 5 years, you buy an index universal life policy. that is one solution, not the only solution. That is a good solution. We like whole life as well. But the experts, the ones that are on TV, are saying, don't buy life insurance, don't buy permanent life insurance, just buy term insurance. They're wrong for these risk factors. They're so wrong for these risk factors. And this is why he makes some very valid points of covering your longevity risk and having a volatility shield, having life insurance that grows tax-free and tax-deferred. And by the way, if something should happen to you and you don't make it to retirement, your heirs get this money tax-free because it's under the life insurance umbrella. Great arguments, great discussion. I recommend the book. It's called The Guru Gap. And thank you, Tim, for giving it to me. And we're getting ready to go on break. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. If you'd like to reach out to me, Neil Himmelstein, 631-647-4694, and we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and welcome back. Before the break, we talked about longevity risk, volatility risk, all these different risks. We talked about the voluntary shield, the risk of long-term care, and we talk about these things on a thing, and the reasons why is we need that protection along the way, and we need that other gap of money at retirement. And I don't care how good an investment guru you are going to have great years, and you might have a year where it's not so good. It's going to happen. The market goes up and down. Long term, the market's great. Short term, there's different decisions to make. I had a 68-year-old approach me at an evening event. I was at a holiday event, who's a CPA, and he says, I'm 68 and I've done very well. Neil, what can you do to help me? And I talked to him, and he had quite a bit of IRA money. And, he was approached about a Roth IRA conversion. Now, Roth IRA I love because they grow tax deferred, just like your 401k and your IRA, but the Roth you take out tax-free. So what a lot of people have advocated for, and the rules are changing now for next year, but a lot of the people are advocating for converting your IRA to a Roth IRA. Now, it's not a cookie cutter approach. When you convert that money into a Roth, and I'm going to have somebody on as an expert in converting Roth IRAs and Roth conversions, really big on that. And I like the idea. You have to understand that anything you convert will be taxable to you that year you convert it. Now, they did have it so you could take a lump sum and stretch it out over 5 years. I'm not really 100% versed in this, in the changes yet. But granted, every year you take that Roth conversion, you're paying income tax on it. Now, if you're still working, like he is, and still doing very well, and he has a lot in his IRA, his financial advisor recommended he convert some or all of his money into a Roth, so that later on in life, he'll have tax-free money, which makes sense. But with his current income and what he's making, taking that Roth conversion may send him into a whole nother tax bracket, as well as create taxation of Social Security. In addition, will make him pay more for his Medicare Part B or the IRMA portion of his Medicare insurance. So you've got to be very, very specific and have somebody very, very technical to understand not only my current taxes, but my future taxes and the results of doing that. So I advocate for Roth conversions, and I also advocate for creating an income stream if you have a lot of IRA money and replacing it not only with a Roth IRA, but with life insurance, which will protect that asset for the next generation. And if you shall want to, you can take money out of it tax-free as well as a Roth. Okay, but we don't necessarily want to take out $100,000 at a time and do that. We may, depending on our tax bracket. We may want to create an income stream where I'm only taxed on the income stream as it comes out, as opposed to these lump sums, and replace it gradually with either a Roth IRA or a Roth conversion. So you can't do a Roth IRA necessarily if you're still putting money away in your retirement. You got to be very careful. It's very, there's a lot of things that go on here, but you can buy life insurance at any time with any amount, which will give you the same effect and give you the added bonus of having a death benefit that's tax-free, where even a Roth, with the new rules, you have to take out distributions your heirs have to take distributions over 10 years. Roth or regular IRAs, they have to take it over 10 years. Not your spouse, but the next generation. If your intent is leaving it there, now if it's IRA money, remember that's all going to be taxed, and it could throw them in another tax bracket, and it is subject to estate taxes. If a Roth, is still going to have to take it over 10 years. So you might want to consider, there's a lot of planning here. It's not just cookie cutter. So what I hate is when you listen to these people on TV, they're going to say, oh, you should do this. Well, that's not right for everybody. It might be right for some. Nothing is right for everyone. There is no cookie cutter approach. Everybody needs an individualized plan. Now, enough about retirement and all that stuff. I want to talk about some of you younger folks out there. Now, I know a lot of my listeners are 50 plus, but one of the common complaints I'm hearing from my peers and my children and my children's friends is they're 30, they're 35, and they can't see buying a house. I'm hearing this everywhere. And I had a conversation with two people the other day, and my son's friend is working for a hospital. She's making over $100,000 a year. Her fiance's making over $100,000, and they can't afford to buy a house. Well, we're going to talk about that with a mortgage expert. But here's the one thing that I see today that I've never seen before, that when I grew up, we talked about budgeting. Budgeting's an interesting thing. When you sit and evaluate how you spend your money, I know that my friends, they may go to a bar or a restaurant for entertainment. They'll spend $50, $100. They may go 2-3 times a week. I know these people do. Okay? Where's that money go? It's just gone. That's one area. You go to a deli for breakfast. You buy, a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich or a bagel, this and that, and coffee. It ends up costing you $10 a day. $10 a day. And they say, well, what's $10 a day just going to the deli? Well, you add up a dozen eggs. Let's call that $5. You add up a pound of bacon. It's probably $8. Call it $13. Okay. Maybe like cheese. Let's say you get a pound of that, and or you get 12 ounces, that's $5. Okay? You add it all up, and for $20, I can have breakfast for a week. A very good breakfast for a week of bacon, egg, and cheese, if that's what I like. And you include the bread and the rolls in there, rather than spending $10 a day. Now, you add that up over a month, just the delis alone, $10 a month, $10 a day, times 7 days a week, 70, times 30 days, you're talking $300 a month. $300 a month just on breakfast, as opposed to $80 a month. Okay, we saved you $200. Okay? Now, let's talk about your nights out and dinners. I know my friends, kids and whatnot, they're big on this DoorDash and this and that. Oh, we can just DoorDash and here, it'll be here in a second. Whippy, great. 75 hours later. Think about making a home-cooked meal. Okay? What does a home-cooked meal cost? I could buy a chicken and pasta and this and that and have a delicious, fantastic meal for $10 and it'll feed 4 people. But just think about that, and you multiply that over a month's time, over a year's time, over 10 years' time, and don't tell me you won't have enough money to buy a house. Think about it. To buy a house, to retire, to do everything you want to do. But you got to start thinking about it when you're 20 years old. You have to be taught how to budget or have a grocery budget. I'm only going to spend so much per week on groceries, so much a week. I'm not saying don't go out. I'm not saying go to the deli once in a while. But budget how often and how much, and you'll be amazed at how much you can save. And if you have a family and you want to take care of a family, $300 a month is going to buy you over $1 million of life insurance, maybe permanent coverage, that you can have that asset to take care of longevity list and everything else. This is where you have to start thinking, and you can't wait until you're 70 or 80 to say, hey, I should have done that. I'm telling you now what you can do to help yourself in retirement. And we encourage you to reach out to us and help you, whether it's your kids or whatever. No charge for a consultation. Give us a call, 631-647-4694. Have a great weekend and a great holiday season, everybody. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.